This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello, Malma Angeles, and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. Together with me today is Esther Odanga from our EBC Thailand Bureau. Hello, Esther.
Hi, I'm Esther Odanga from EBC Thailand Bureau, giving you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines. In the Philippines, some villages near an active Mayon volcano are buried in volcanic ash after torrential rains brought by Typhoon Goni pushed the debris onto the communities, swamping cars, houses, and other infrastructure.
Plus, an exclusive interview with His Excellency Ambassador Charles T. Jose, Philippine Ambassador to Malaysia. In the Philippines, some villages near an active Mayon volcano are buried in volcanic ash after torrential rain brought by Typhoon Goni pushed the debris onto communities, swamping houses, cars, and other infrastructures. The villages are located in Bicol region, which took bore of the typhoon that flooded many towns and killed at least 20 people across the country. Catanduanes Island and nearby Albay province, on the most populous island of Luzon, bore brunt of Typhoon Goni, which was packing maximum sustained wind speed of 225 kilometers or 140 miles per hour when it slammed onto the east coast on Sunday. Hundreds of thousands of people fled their homes ahead of the typhoon, and many of them remain in evacuation centers as authorities scramble to restore power and telecommunications services in the hardest hit areas. 14 deaths were recorded in Albay province, but Provincial Disaster Chief Cedric Daep said without preemptive evacuations, thousands would have died. 7 of the victims were in town that was hit by landslide of volcanic ash from the nearby active Mayon volcano. The mayor of Ginobatan told local media that around 147 homes had been swamped and some were now unlivable. Goni was ranked as a super typhoon when it made landfall on Catanduanes, where at least 6 people died, and authorities estimate most houses and infrastructure were damaged or destroyed. Across the areas in Goni's path, more than 20,000 houses were destroyed and around 58,000 partially damaged. Civil Defense said in a statement, farmland was also damaged. Cleanup efforts are underway.
And we would like to welcome on the program His Excellency, Philippine Ambassador to Malaysia, Charles C. Jose. Good afternoon, Mr. Ambassador. Welcome back to the program.
Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat, sa inyong mga taga-subaybay, and I'm happy to be back sa inyong pong programa.
And we're happy to see you, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you very much for being here on the program. My first question is, of course, situation in Malaysia. Kumusta na po dyan? I know that the lockdown has been extended due to a spike in coronavirus cases, but how is it po, sir, the situation right now?
Oo nga po, dahil nga po sa a few weeks back, no, medyo nagkaroon po ng resurgence sa bilang ng mga new COVID-19 cases dito sa Malaysia. A few places in Malaysia have been placed under the Conditional Movement Control Order or CMCO. Kabilang sa mga lugar na to ang Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya, Selangor at Sabah. So under this CMCO, generally, ang mga residents are being encouraged to remain at home, no? Manatili na naman sa bahay kung wala naman po talagang urgent na pangangailangan para lumabas. At mga employers and employees are encouraged to work from home. Yung mga essential services lamang po ang pinababayaang magbukas. At meron pong restrictions, no, sa inter-district travel, pati na rin po sa interstate travel. Pero gayunpaman, ang mga shops, restaurants, hotels ay nananatili pong bukas. Pero they have to adhere to strict compliance sa SOP para po masugpuan pa yung paglagana po nitong COVID-19 virus.
As you said po kanina when we were talking earlier po, no, it's not as severe or strict yung lockdown po as when the virus started, ano po?
Tama po, no? Compared sa nung kasagsagan po nung pandemic nung early part ng year, nung pong March, at nag-declare ng MCO ang Malaysia, talaga pong lockdown, total lockdown, no? At buong Malaysia po, no? Pero this time, yung CMCO nila, only selected places are placed under this restriction. Pero karamihan po ng mga businesses, yung pong tulad na banggit ko, shops, restaurants and hotels ay are allowed to operate.
How is this affecting our kababayans there naman po, sir? Yung particularly sa states of, as you said earlier, Sabah, Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, and Putrajaya?
Well, hopefully, no? Dahil nga po hindi as severe yung implementation ng CMCO sa compared nung in the past. So we are hoping that somehow this will cushion the impact sa ating po mga kababayan dahil nga po bukas pa rin ng mga shops, restaurants, and hotels. So yung mga kababayan natin who are working in the hospitality industry, sa services and retail ay patuloy po silang pasok po sa kanilang mga trabaho and this will cushion the impact on their livelihood.
No, that's good to hear po. No? Are there any Filipinos there na nag-test po sa COVID-19 na positive po? And is the embassy helping them in any way kung sakali pong merong mga nag-test po ng positive?
Opo, ayon po sa aming talaan, ito pong talaan namin ay based dun sa information being shared by the Malaysian Ministry of Health with our Department of Health. Meron pong sumatotal na 436 Filipinos, no, that were infected by the virus. Kung inyo pong matatandaan, yung mga early interviews natin,
Yes.
There was a large number of Filipinos, no, yung umattend nung malaking event gathering dun sa Sri Petaling Mosque. Kabilang na dito yung mga Filipino Tabligh members at yung mga estudyante natin na nag-aaral sa madrasa who were required to attend this event ay kabilang na rin po dun sa 436 na yun. And most of them have already been discharged, no? They've already been healed. Pero ito nga po yung bagong resurgence, patuloy pa rin po namin minomonitor yung mga Filipinos po na na-infect din po ng COVID-19 virus.
And how is the embassy helping them aside from monitoring po our kababayans there po?
Unlike nung in the past, no, talagang lumapit sa amin yung mga Tabligh members at yung mga madrasa students na nangangailangan po ng tulong. But in this case, no, I think yung Malaysian government took care of this lahat po, no, yung mga Malaysians and non-Malaysians who were infected by this bilang nila third surge na, no, itong na-experience nila ngayon ay inaalagaan po sila ng they've been sent to hospitals to be treated.
Okay, that's good to hear. And sir, of course, yung Are there any can you share with us some existing programs or activities of the embassy to help our kababayans there po?
Well, una-una po gusto kong ipagbigay alam no, na bukas po ang embassy, patuloy po kami nag-ooperate kahit po under this CMCO. So, patuloy po operation ng embassy. Ang aming pong consular section, for example, ay patuloy po tumatanggap ng mga passport application, renewal. At para doon po sa mga hindi makabiyahe dahil nga po may mga travel restrictions, pinadali namin no, yung proseso po for passport validity extension. Lalo na po sa mga kailangan po mag-renew ng kanilang work permit. So we accept no application for passport validity extension by mail. So ang aming pong ATN section ay patuloy pa rin pong nag-extend ng tulong sa mga undocumented workers natin.
Opo.
At ang ating POLO, yung Philippine Overseas Labor Office,
Yes.
ay tumutulong na po sa mga documented workers. Pati po ang ating Office ng Commercial Attaché, for example, ay nagko-conduct po from time to time no, ng mga online seminars na may patungkol po sa excuse me,
Go ahead, sir.
na may patungkol po sa trabaho, negosyo at kabuhayan. For example, recently meron po silang seminar on franchising and agribusiness. So para po sa mga kababayan natin na interesado to go into business, ay meron po silang mapupulot ng mga information dito. And speaking of information, mahalaga po no na nakapag-disseminate tayo ng mga relevant information. So
Yes.
active din po ang embassy posting on our social media platforms, sa aming Facebook page and website information that relevant to our Filipinos here in Malaysia.
Sir, tuloy, the last time we talked, we were able to repatriate some Filipinos there. Dire-diretso pa rin po ba ang repatriation ngayon? Or medyo umano na po dahil sa medyo gumaganda na po ang sitwasyon dyan, as you said earlier po, na hindi na po kasing stricto tulad po ng dati?
Tama po, no? Since nagkaroon po ng mga lockdown, we were able to organize for repatriation operations, mga chartered flights po na binayaran po ng pamahalaan natin, and we were able to send back to the Philippines mga 1,200 no, stranded Filipinos dito po sa Malaysia na ipabalik namin po sila sa Pilipinas. And we also were able to help some Malaysian companies no, na nagpa-repatriate din po ng kanilang Filipino workers. Pero since nag-isa po yung lockdown, nag-resume po ng operation, no, yung mga commercial flights po. Pero patuloy po kaming tumutulong no, sa mga stranded Filipinos dito sa Malaysia at yun po mga, for example, yung mga Filipinos na nag-finish contract na, na kailangan na rin umuwi. So we help them, no? We facilitate yung pag minsan kailangan nila ng tulong sa pagbubook sa mga airlines. So we help them. Last October 28, meron pong isang commercial flight na may biyahe pong pauwi ng Pilipinas. We siguro mga 21 passengers po ron ay sa tulong po ng Philippine government through this embassy na tinulungan po namin silang makauwi sa Pilipinas.
That's good to hear. Recently, Mr. Ambassador, the Iglesia ni Cristo members over there held an aid to humanity to help our Filipinos under the care of the Philippine Embassy. Can you tell us more about this? Marami po bang naka-benepisyo dito sa aid to humanity ng Iglesia ni Cristo po dyan? Can you enlighten us?
Opo, no? Noong pong Sabado, noong October 31, ay nagkaroon po ng turnover ceremony dito po sa embassy, no? At kung saan po tinurnover ng pamunuan po ng Iglesia ni Cristo dito po sa Kuala Lumpur chapter nila at Bangsar chapter. Meron po silang mga 180 to 200 mga goodie bags, no, na ipapa-distribute sa mga kababayan po natin dito sa Peninsular Malaysia na talaga nangangailangan po. At tinanggap po namin yung relief goods na yan. At with the help of the Filipino community organizations ay i-distribute po namin yan. So on behalf of of course, of the Philippine Embassy and the Filipino community, ay talagang taos-puso ako nagpapasalamat sa Iglesia ni Cristo dahil po sa initiative na ito and for always keeping the Filipino OFWs in your hearts and prayers, no? Through this kind of mga activities na makakatulong po sa ating mga kababayan dito sa Malaysia. So maraming po salamat po sa Iglesia ni Cristo.
And Mr. Ambassador, do you have any message to our Filipinos residing in Malaysia and even their relatives over here po para it's your floor na po, kayo na pong bahala. Go ahead,
Opo,
sir.
no? Naunawaan namin na talagang mahirap po ang buhay ngayon at kaliwat kanan po ang dalang paghamon, no, nitong COVID-19 pandemic. Nandiyan po yung hamon pang kalusugan at dahil nga po malakas ang dagok ng pandemic na to sa ekonomiya, ay meron din pong hamon pang kabuhayan. At marami po sa mga kababayan natin dito ay hindi lamang yung sarili natin ang ating iniintindi, no? We're also concerned with the well-being of our families and loved ones in the Philippines. So alam po namin na maraming kababayan natin dito ang nangangailangan at handa pong tumulong, no, ang embassy. Maaari niyo pong idulog kung ano man po ang pangangailangan na gusto nyong request sa embassy. Marami pong paraan para kami ma-reach, no? Maaari pong through telephone call, text messages, email, at meron po kaming online form na pwede pong fill upan. Makikita po lahat yung information yan sa aming Facebook page. Naka-detail po doon kung paano nyo mapapaabot sa amin ang inyong request for assistance. At kami po dito ay nakahanda pong tumulong tulad ng nabanggit ko. And we will consider, no, yung mga request niyo on a case-to-case basis. At handa po kami tulong sa abot po ng aming makakaya up to the extent na kaya pong suportahan ng aming budget.
Alright, maraming salamat po, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you for taking care of our Filipinos over there and assuring the Filipinos and their relatives over here, wherever they may be. Maraming salamat, Mr. Ambassador, for your time. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Maraming salamat din po sa inyo.
Thank you, Ambassador. His Excellency, Philippine Ambassador to Malaysia, Ambassador Charles C. Jose.
Hello there. Imagine Dami got the virus and she infected 2 more. And those 2 infected a lot more of people. And it goes on and on until it became an epidemic. But what if Dami stayed at home? Then those 2 wouldn't have contracted the virus. Then those people would have not been infected. This is not just your battle, it's everyone's, and you can be a huge help. Follow social distancing, or better yet, stay at home.
Malalayong lugar ang kanilang narating para maghanap buhay. tulungan ang pamilyang iniwan sa sariling bayan. Yan ang ating mga overseas Filipino worker. Pero dahil sa di pangkaraniwang pangyayaring hatid ay krisis, may ilan sa kanilang nagpasyang umuwi. Pinagyaman ang sariling lupain, nagtayo ng negosyo na kasama sa puhunan ang sipag at tiyaga. Ang mga OFW, maraming sakripisyo, ninanais maging kapaki-pakinabang maging sa kanilang pagbabalik bansa. Sapagkat ang ating mga bagong bayani, Pilipino pa rin sa puso at damdamin.
In Thailand, the finance ministry said the economy will shrink this year by less than previously estimated as government support measures alleviate the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. Here's Faye Barte for the report. Hi, Faye.
Good afternoon to you, Esther, and good afternoon to all our viewers. So the updates that I'm going to bring up today is about the positive things that is happening here in Thailand. So the first thing is about the Thailand's economy. From Mr. Anucha Burapachai Sri, who is the government spokesperson, he stated that the situation of Thailand's economy was better than the previous prediction earlier. The forecasted percentage, Esther, was 7.2 to 8.2, so 7.2 to 8.2, but Thailand's economy would contract 7% in 2020, and this is based on Mr. Anucha quotation by the Ministry of Finance. The reasons are the government did some measures to soften the impact of pandemic all throughout the country. And Thailand's economy had been moved up to 6 places. So this was from 27th, they moved up to 21st. And Thailand's score has represented that it is the highest over the past 6 years. And Esther, another positive update is about Phuket International Airport. They are very much prepared now to welcome foreigners who would like to enter here in Thailand. However, there are several measures that they need to follow, which are example is like the traveler screening, the document screening, immigration process, and keeping the samples of specimens from COVID-19 tests at X-Terminal building. And then the visitors, they need to stay or they need to undergo the alternative local quarantine or the ALQ. And there are 5 points for sample testing. There would be also Royal Mobile units for COVID-19 tests and 2 rooms for collecting samples. So this kind of process, it would be more comfortable for the tourists to stay here in Thailand, especially there in Phuket. Back to you, Esther.
Thank you, Faye, for your time and for all your updates. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you, Esther. Likewise, and this is Faye Barte reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
Deputy Prime Minister Trinding Dung called doubling efforts to search for 57 people who are still missing in Tuat Yen Hu, Quang Nam, and at the sea. According to Vietnam's government news agency Chinfu.vn, in Thuong Thien Hu, rescue mission is underway to find 12 workers buried by landslide at the construction site of Rao Thiang Hydropower Plant project in Phong Thien district. In Quang Nam, 22 residents are still missing due to landslides caused by heavy rains. Meanwhile, fishing boats BD 96388TS with 12 fishermen on board and BD 97469TS with 14 fishermen on board sank while they were at sea, about 135 to 170 nautical miles northeast of Nha Trang City. 3 of the fishermen on BD 97469TS were rescued by China's Hong Kong cargo ship Fortuneers on October 29, while the rest are still missing. The central region has been severely battered by storms since early, causing huge loss of lives and property, according to government's report. At least 235 residents have been reported dead or missing, and more than 201,000 houses are flattened or damaged.
Back here in the Philippines, the national government, alongside telecommunication companies, have ramped up efforts to immediately restore telco lines and power in Catanduanes after cellular signals and telephone lines were cut following the Super Typhoon Rolly's onslaught. Catanduanes Governor Joseph Cua requested the national government to help the province in restoring destroyed telco services to allow the residents to communicate with their families outside the typhoon-hit areas.
Sending people to Catanduanes is really to conduct immediate assessment of the damage and needs and identifying needs, priority needs, which the LGUs cannot provide. And alam niya ni Mr. Jesser Adornado, being the second in command of the OCD region office in Bicol region, and kaya siya ang pinadala dyan ni Director Yukot. So may kasama rin siyang mga iba pang mga personnel from other regional offices, so alam din nila ang kanilang gagawin. Basically, it is to augment the resources and response operations of the local government unit of Catanduanes. Now, I would like to inform the Gov and Mr. Jefferson Adornado that the DSWD will be dispatching or ferrying family food packs tomorrow for Bicol, but there will be a specific flight for Catanduanes using C-130. So may dala-dala yan ng mga family food packs ng DSWD, and since potable drinking water is one of the needs, we will try to source drinking water in bottled drinking water to be accommodated in the C-130 flight tomorrow. So, yun, kailangan ma-identify natin yung iba pang needs, critical needs na kailangan dyan sa ating disaster response sa Catanduanes, which cannot be provided by the local. Governor, kasama natin sa pagpaplano yung nung nagpaplano pa lang tayo dito sa pagdating ni Super Typhoon Rolly, kasama natin sa pagpaplano in our pre-disaster risk assessment meetings yung mga representatives ng Telco, Globe, and Smart, and in my engagement with them earlier this morning, they are already doing something about the restoration, immediate restoration of telco services in Catanduanes. Ang nauna nila na-restore ay yung dito sa may main account. So,
Meanwhile, Governor Cua said they utilized safely located public schools in the province as evacuation centers to move residents living in coastal towns and low-lying areas prone to storm surge, landslides, and flooding. He also said 80% of electric poles, transformers, and other electric facilities manned by local cooperatives have been destroyed due to the typhoon. Governor Cua also said an estimated 15,000 families were affected by storm surges. Pag-asa raised typhoon signal number 5 in the Bicol province of Catanduanes, Camarines, and Albay. Signal number 4 was hoisted in Metro Manila and a wide area of southern Luzon and the Visayas. The strongest typhoon of the year first made landfall on Catanduanes Island at 4:50 a.m. on Sunday with maximum sustained winds of 225 kilometers or 140 miles per hour and gusts of up to 310 kilometers per hour. In other news, Indonesia's military executed a church leader in its insurgency-racked Papua region. According to the National Human Rights Commission on Monday, in the latest allegation of a civilian killing by soldiers, a report by the agency citing witness testimony alleged that Pastor Yeremia Zanambani was tortured and then shot by Deputy Army Chief Alpius Hasim Madi during an interrogation on September 19. He later died of his wounds. The alleged perpetrator of the torture and extrajudicial killing is a military member. Commissioner Koirul Anam said in a statement, before the victim died, he told two witnesses about the perpetrator, other witnesses, and also saw Madi at the crime scene with 3 to 4 other military members. In response, Indonesia's military said it was still probing the septuagenarian Zanambani's death in Papua's central Hitadipa district. If later there is evidence that a military member was involved, then he will be dealt with under existing laws and regulations, according to Papua military spokesman Reza Nurpatria. Amnesty International earlier said it had documented over a dozen unlawful killings by members of the military and police in Papua since February. Indonesia's security forces have long been accused of committing atrocities against Papuan civilians during a decades-long rebel movement aimed at gaining independence for the region next to independent Papua New Guinea. The Southeast Asian nation took control of mineral-rich Papua, a former Dutch colony, in the 1960s, following a vote to stay within the archipelago that was widely viewed as rigged. On Monday, the Commission's report said that the church leader suffered severe wounds from a sharp object before he was forced to kneel down, so it was easier for the perpetrator to execute him.
The Philippines and South Korea have entered into an agreement for the Economic Development Cooperation Fund, or EDCF, COVID-19 Emergency Response Program loan worth $100 million. In a press release issued on Monday, the Korean government, through the Import-Export Bank of Korea, or Korea Exim Bank, and the Department of Finance of the Philippines signed the agreement on October 29. The agreement was the third signed by the two countries under the $1 billion EDCF framework arrangement for the years 2017 to 2022. The first was New Cebu International Container Port Project worth $172.64 million, and the second was the Philippines-Korea Project Preparation Facility worth $50 million. The loan program aims to provide immediate financing or budgetary support to the recipient country for the economic policies or implementation of sector development plans. It also aims to further strengthen relations between Korea and Philippines in the field of public health and safety, in addition to diverse areas of cooperation over the past 70 years. Because of the pandemic, many in Canada have lost their jobs and are having a hard time putting food on their table. The Church of Christ has launched an Aid to Humanity in Edmonton. Here's Thomas I. Likeness for the report.
It's called food insecurity, and it's a growing problem in Canada and other parts of the world. As a result of the pandemic, a lot of people simply can't afford to put food on the table. Because of COVID-19, they've lost jobs, they've lost income, and food prices are increasing. In Edmonton here, one church group has decided to confront that problem head on. In Edmonton, several congregations of the Church of Christ responded to that problem. Members of the church gave a donation of cash and non-perishable food to two Edmonton organizations that help the hungry. One group was the Veterans Association Food Bank, which helps those who served in the military. Assistant Operations Manager John Kennedy was overwhelmed when presented with more than 100 boxes of non-perishable food and a $2,000 check.
Like, we've got 4 tri-walls full of food there. That's our biggest single donation that has come in through these doors. And it just, I might get emotional, but it means so much that we're going to be able to help veterans in whatever way we can. And we just want to thank you as a community of veterans helping veterans. Thank you so much. Thank you.
The church received a similar response from the Edmonton Food Bank. It received 200 boxes of food as well as a $1,000 check. Spokesman Doug Hunter says the Church of Christ has always come through for the food bank.
We've had the good fortune of being able to work with the Church of Christ for the last few years. And we're just so thankful whenever they have the time to and they step up to do a food drive in support of Edmonton's Food Bank. We know they're going to just go all out and make sure they collect the most food that they can.
Church of Christ District Minister in Edmonton, Brother Voltaire Tamison, told Eagle News that this Aid to Humanity event is needed right now.
People are struggling in this life, and this is a very timing to extend our hands to help our fellow man. And also, we are bringing back to the community.
But even though we're in a pandemic, Assistant District Minister Paquito Ibanez says that wasn't what prompted the church to act. He says the church has a history of helping those in need.
This is not something new for the Church of Christ. We've been doing this all year round in different places, in fact. We've been doing it for a while already.
This week's donation of food and money will provide hundreds of meals for the less fortunate in Edmonton. These Aid to Humanity efforts are being done worldwide this weekend, wherever the Church of Christ has a congregation. They're being done to mark the birthday of the church's executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo. In Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Thomas. Ranging from a partnership with the Maui Food Bank to drive-through food distribution, members of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo in Hawaii and American Samoa hosted various forums to charitable works to help those in need in their communities. For the details, here's Charmaine Serrera from our Hawaii Bureau.
Today we're holding what we call Aid to Humanity, in Filipino and Tagalog, Lingap sa Mamamayan, which means we are helping our fellow man who may be dire, who may be in need, maybe they are elderly.
This activity launched by the administration, the aim is to help the people, especially now in this time of pandemic, time of disasters. Actually, it is done all over the world today.
In celebration of the birthday of Iglesia ni Cristo Executive Minister Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, members of the INC in the Hawaiian Islands of Kauai, Maui, and Big Island conducted various forms of outreach for their respective communities.
So we're offering 150 bags of food to anyone who comes through, and it's just a drive-by. They come in the car, 3 bags, we give them 3 bags, they drive out. So in and out, the most efficient way, and make sure that we keep them safe by keeping them away from COVID-19.
In the island of Kauai, for example, members hosted a drive-through free food distribution for those affected by the pandemic to include the elderly. Grocery items like rice, noodles, and canned goods were provided. Church members in Kihei, South Maui, meanwhile added a personal touch by visiting house to house safely to deliver bags of dried packaged foods, as well as essential items like face masks and hand sanitizers. INC members like those in Lahaina, West Maui, provided similar relief goods, as well as contact cards and reading materials for the beneficiaries to know more about the global church. Over in the Big Island, a government official from Hawaii's State House of Representatives visited the chapel compound in Keau and shared with Eagle News her impressions on the generosity of the members.
I am grateful that Iglesia ni Cristo is doing this food drive for the community. Puna on the island of Hawaii is one of the most underserved communities in the state of Hawaii. We have more than 50% poverty level or below. You don't see many homeless on the street because the community takes them in. And you will see a number of Filipinos, for instance, have multiple families in their house because they take care of each other. But that doesn't mean that they are housed, because really you will see more than one family to a bedroom. They really do need the food within the families to be able to house, especially now when there are a number of people who are jobless because of the COVID-19 crisis. So I'm also grateful for the community.
We see how many people today, especially here on Big Island, are losing their jobs, getting laid off. You know, it affects everybody. And as members inside the Church of Christ, we just want to help. And that's what we're doing today. We're having our Aid to Humanity on the birthday of our executive minister.
This activity will also help in recognizing the church and cause more people to be more interested, to know more about this church, and hopefully call more people to inside the Church of Christ.
Even as far south as American Samoa, Church of Christ members participated in this worldwide effort by personally delivering free face masks to a nearby public school.
The officers and the brethren here in the District of Hawaii Pacific are united with the church administration in doing these kinds of activities like Aid to Humanity. The reason is because we want to obey the teachings of the Lord Jesus Christ written in the Bible, which is to love our neighbor, to help those people who are in need, especially those who are affected with this pandemic.
From the local congregation of Lahaina, Ecclesiastical District of Hawaii Pacific, we would like to greet our beloved Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, a happy birthday po! Aloha!
Happy birthday, Brother Eduardo. I really appreciate you on your birthday to celebrate it by giving to others. In Hawaii, we call it Hau'oli na Hanau. So happy birthday. Thank you so much for doing this for us and our community.
Reporting from the Big Island of Hawaii, there's Charmaine Serrera for Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
ASEAN in Focus, we'll be right back.
Hindi mo ba alam, mauubos daw ang mga tissue products? Bakit naman? Ang raw materials daw ng mask at tissue products ay iisa lang. Saan naman galing ang balitang yan? Ay basta, narinig ko lang din. Maraming din kayang nagpo-post sa Facebook at Twitter, kaya kung ako sa'yo, kumuha ka na din. Sige na't mauna na ako sa'yo
Huwag basta-basta magpaniwala
sa mga nakikita
o nababasa sa social media.
Magsaliksik at i-verify ang lahat ng impormasyon
Nakukuha sa internet.
Tandaan,
maging responsable tayo
sa paggamit ng social media
nang hindi magdulot ng panik sa iba.
Kung paanong dapat labanan ng COVID-19.
Ay gayon din ang ating pagsugpo
sa black propaganda
at maling impormasyon.
Dennis Lu,
Lou Omelda,
General Partosa,
Tyranel Pililu,
Hannibal Arevalo,
EBC,
Japan, Euro. We live in interesting times.
Hey everyone! I'm Nikki Pacal Arsena. Abangan niyo po ako and the rest of the Barkada and your favorite OPM artists on Letters and Music. Prime time na! Mula Monday to Friday, 8 p.m. only on Net25. See you!
Welcome back to ASEAN in Focus. The ASEAN Secretariat is pleased to announce its participation at the World Expo 2020 scheduled to take place in October next year in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, or UAE. Originally slated from October 20, 2020 to April 10, 2021, Expo 2020 has been rescheduled from October 1, 2021 to March 31, 2022 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It is expected that about 200 participating countries and international organizations will join the World Expo 2020 under its theme, Connecting Minds, Creating the Future. Held once every 5 years, this is the first ever World Expo to be held in the Middle East, Africa, and South Asia, or MENASA region, since its inception in 1851. The last time the World Expo was convened in Asia was in Shanghai in 2010. 2021 also marks the year UAE commemorates its Golden Jubilee. When being interviewed as part of the World Expo 2020 promotional video, Director for the Community Affairs of ASEAN Secretariat and ASEAN Commissioner General at World Expo 2020, Mr. Lee Yung highlighted that Expo 2020 provides ASEAN with a credible podium to showcase our regional integration story.
And okay, Esther, I think before we go, we have a special guest with us. Actually, she reported earlier, but she's coming back with something special for us. Sana all, no?
She waited for this time to show this title, legacy, I think. Okay.
Oh, okay. I think you know this too because you guys come from Thailand. Okay. So where are you, Faye?
Hi, Faye.
Hi, Faye.
Yes, good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon, everyone again. Yes, so let me just have two information for everybody. The first information that I'm going to share is the longest or the full name of Bangkok. From the, it would be like the knowledge for everybody. The full name of Bangkok, wait a second, let me just have it on my screen. Okay. The original name of Bangkok is Krungthep Mahanakon Amon Ratanakosin Mahintara Ayutthaya Mahadilokpop Noparat Ratchathani Burirom Udum Ratchaniwat Mahasatkan Amon Piman Awatan Satit Sakatatiya Witsanukam Prasit. So that is the name or the full name of Bangkok. Usually people here in Thailand, they also use or they also call Bangkok Krungthep or Krungthep Mahanakon. So that is the longest name of Bangkok. And Esther and Alma, I would just like to introduce again a special delicacy of Thailand. And the last time it was covered by banana leaves, and this one is covered also by banana leaves. The last one was made from coconut extraction and caramelized coconut. And this one, Thai people, they told me, the people here, they told me that it is sticky rice. Here in Thailand, sticky rice, it is very much popular. They do that as a dessert. And let us open now. I have my spoon and I'm ready to show you I'm going to show you this, so let us open. Okay, let us open now. And okay, so I have here. Oh, okay, so it's like this. It's like this. So this one is this is what they call khao niao nak kung. Kung is, if I'm not mistaken, Esther, kung is shrimp, correct?
Yes.
Yes, and
okay.
I can really see here shrimp. No, it's like a small one. That's why they call This one, this is khao niao or sticky rice. In Thai language, it is called khao niao. And this one in Thai language, they call this kung. So they call
kung
this
is shrimp?
khao niao na kung. Yes, this is very much interesting, Alma and Esther, because they call this as a dessert. They told me it is a dessert, but it has shrimp on the top. So let us taste. This is the khao niao. This is the sticky rice. And let me just get a bit of shrimp. And everybody join me tasting it. Okay, sorry. Let me just tilt my camera, and then everybody, let's taste the khao niao na kung of Thailand.
Wow.
I think I haven't tried it yet. Sweet.
So how does it taste, Faye? Can you tell us? Can you describe the taste? Is it hot?
Typically, shrimp is really salty, right?
Yes.
You can really taste a bit of saltiness and the essence of being like the seafood and the sticky rice. But all in all, in general, it is great. So the people who wants to visit here in Thailand, who wants to be a tourist here, this is something that you would not be missed about.
So we won't miss that. Yeah, so is that orange thing the one with the shrimp or the kum? Am I saying it right? Yes, that orange, yeah. Is that sticky rice as well, colored orange? Or is it all shrimp, all kum?
It is all, this one, Alma, it is all shrimp. This is actually grounded shrimp. And there is something like this small, and there is a sticky rice. The taste is a little bit salty.
So, I wish I could taste it. We could taste it.
but here in Thailand,
so what do you call that again?
Dessert.
Okay, what do you call it again?
Khao niao na kung.
Okay, it's short, not like Bangkok. Until we end the program.
Not like Bangkok. The longest name or the full name of Bangkok,
yes.
I cannot repeat, but I have to have this on my screen. It's the first one is, sorry, the first word is Krongtep and lots of words. And
yes.
But
by the time you end the name, yeah, by the time you finish reading the name, we will also end our show.
You're going to be hungry. So this is a perfect timing for that to eat.
Yes, and also, I think the name of Bangkok, the real name of Bangkok is the longest city name in the whole world, right?
It is. Yes, Esther, you are correct. And I wish I could memorize this all, but I really cannot, because the pronunciation, here in Thailand, the pronunciation is very important, because when you mispronounce the word, you're going to say different, you're going to show the different meaning of it. So we have to be careful when pronouncing it. Just the spelling around, maybe just the spelling would be okay. Yeah, join me here. Get in here. Khao niao na kung, and the longest name of Bangkok.
Thank you very much, Faye, for all that information and for sharing with us your dessert for the day. And thank you very much.
Alma and Esther.
Esther, thank you too for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. See you soon.
Thanks, Alma, and that's the latest news around ASEAN. And I think I'm gonna find khao niao na kung after this. And thank you all for watching. I'm Esther Adanga from ABC Thailand Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you back tomorrow. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.